exercising, and I was like, yeah, I just spent a week in Italy. I'm eating right.
Bad.
That's what I said.
Too
too.
bad.
Baby, obviously.
That's how I got
Mr. Mayor.
I'll call the meeting to order for July 10th, 2017, the City Council of the City of Pacifica. I'm sitting in for Mayor Mike O'Neill, who's on vacation right now. And can we have the roll call?
Councilmember Martin,
Here.
Councilmember Vaterlas,
Here.
Councilmember Degree,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Keener,
Here.
and Mayor O'Neill is excused.
Okay, next we'll have the salute to the flag led by Councilmember Degree.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we had no closed session. We have no special presentations, so we'll move on to the consent calendar. So, anybody wish to address the council on the consent calendar? We have one. Marijuana.
This is consent? Is that on the consent?
Yes.
There it is, yeah. Weird.
Tony. And before you start, you have 3 minutes. After 2 minutes, it switches to yellow for caution or whatever, and goes on to 3 minutes. And in general, there's a long thing I could read, but I won't. Just try to be decent.
Okay, thank you very much. This evening, I'd like to bring to your attention a document that can be found online titled Colorado's Legislation of Marijuana and the Impact on Public Safety, a Practical Guide for Law Enforcement. This was composed in 2015 by the sheriffs and chiefs of police in the state of Colorado, and it's an excellent guide as to the pitfalls that they ran across and the solutions that they came up with, and the continued data gathering. Let me go on with a couple of their recommendations. Number one, establish a baseline now of all marijuana and other drug-related violations in Pacifica. Data collection is critical. This will give you your indicators on the impact of legislation and how this ordinance is performing. They got caught behind the 8 ball on that one, and they really regretted it later on. Number two, example of that was the increase in burglaries of the dispensaries. Went up 13% of just the dispensaries as compared to the liquor stores, which went up just 2%. So they were comparing liquor stores and dispensaries. Number two, prepare for a large number of homeless population coming to Pacifica to gain employment in this marijuana business. This happened in Denver. A large population of homeless ventured to Denver, and unfortunately, due to their criminal histories, they were unable to gain employment into this industry. but they stayed. So now Denver has a very large increased homeless population, and they're trying to figure out ways of servicing them and keeping them safe as well as the residents and business owners. I see that the San Mateo County Homeless Outreach Team, or HOT, is on your agenda tonight with a $30,000 grant revenue coming in for tonight, and perhaps we can hear from them as how they're preparing for this. Increased number of grow houses and dangers of THC extraction for hash oil, edibles, and ointments. This gets into butane fumes coming from homes. People are actually growing legal marijuana and then trying to extract THC from it using butane, and it's led to 9 hash oil explosions from January 1st to September 15th. And then finally, I'd like to ask the chief, what is our policy with our first responders, and what level can they have in marijuana in their system? God forbid they're involved in a critical incident and they take a life and a blood draw is made. Excuse me. What is an acceptable level of THC or marijuana in our police officers and our firefighters? I think that's something that we haven't heard a single thing about. And with that, I want to thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. I have no further cards. So is there anybody that wants to poll any? Sue.
If you just pull for comment number 6 about the Business
Great.
Improvement District.
Wait a minute.
I think it's number 6.
Number 5.
Oh, put your glasses on, too.
Yeah. Okay, pull for comment.
That's all.
Okay, and I'd like to pull number 6 for question and comment. Deirdre?
Nothing.
Okay. Sue, go ahead.
Just because it's the hotels we're talking about, and I just want to remind everybody and the members of the Chamber and the BID that are here today and everybody else, the 2019 commemoration of the Ohlone and Portola Trails is coming quickly, and so that'll be a great time, I hope, for hotels in our city, as well as for our small businesses and certainly our restaurants to be prepared. So the research into the accuracy and the walkability of the trails is almost totally completed. So that hard part of planning is just about finished. And so now I think reaching all the merchants and the hotels to brainstorm on how, Pacifica can be at the top of the line rather than after Half Moon Bay or the rest of the county. So appreciate that.
Thank you. On number 6, the $30,000 grant to HOT. Yeah. I just have a couple of questions, Chief. So this grant is coming from the State Board of Community Corrections, is that?
Yes, the Board of State and Community Corrections.
And the amount that is going to HOT, well, first of all, the grant that we have is a portion of the total grant that was made to the county, I assume apportioned by population?
It is not. Actually, the way this was done was the whole grant amount, which was over $500,000, $512,971, was awarded to or given to the law enforcement agencies of San Mateo County. And at that point, in our San Mateo County Police Chiefs and Sheriffs Association meeting, we took a vote on how we wanted to distribute this money and what we wanted to do with it. Initially, we thought about using the one lump sum for a law enforcement purpose or one of these other purposes that are listed. We made the decision that we were going to distribute that money equally, which for a city the size of Pacifica is actually not a bad deal. We're going to get just as much as Daly City is. We're going to get just as much as the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office is. So we broke it down that way, and then from there talked about how we were going to spend it.
And Pacifica threw in with, 6 or 7 other police departments, and we opted to fund a homeless outreach teams with this. There were 6 or 7 other possible ways to spend this money, but we chose that. So how much total to the homeless outreach team are they going to receive?
I believe there's 8 of us that are doing this, 8 agencies, law enforcement agencies, so there'll be a little over 240,000.
Okay,
It'll
that's
go.
great. All right. All right. So I talked to Anita Reese about this, and she's totally in favor of it, of course. Any money going to the homeless for any reason is a good thing in Pacifica or anywhere else, as we all probably agree. The Pacifica Resource Center currently has 10 folks on their 10 homeless clients that are also hot clients, or homeless outreach team clients, out of about 100, just to put that in perspective. But this is certainly welcome, and I think the staff report is very clear. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Comment?
Pardon?
Comment.
Yes.
I just want to make a comment about the HOT team. Helping the homeless is very complicated, and there's training that goes behind it, which I'm very happy to hear, that helps the well-meaning police officers and others to get a sensitivity as to how to respond to some behaviors. And I know that some of the homeless don't know how to get help, and this is a breakthrough for them because they don't know, or some of them it's pride. They don't want to have to go and ask for help. But in the manner that the HOT teams work, I think it breaks down some of those very difficult barriers. It's a very big help.
Absolutely, completely agree.
And I would just add that any communication improvement between you and the homeless outreach teams is nothing but positive. So,
Thank you.
Good. Any other comments?
I need a motion.
Okay. Make a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay.
If I can.
Please vote. And that passes 4-0. Next, we come to oral communications and this is for members of the public to address the City Council on issues that are not on the agenda. And I have one card. Victor Spano.
Good evening. I'm Victor Spano from Pacifica Chamber of Commerce. I'm here to announce 3 upcoming events that we have. On July 19th at Nick's at 8 a.m., we're having Eggs and Issues. The topic is Peninsula Clean Energy. It's a great event, and we hope you can make it. On the 25th at Luigi's at 7 o'clock, we're having a networking at night mixer for small businesses. And on the 27th at 4:30, we're having a ribbon cutting and grand opening for Curry and Kebab, a new and really nice restaurant in the Fairmont Shopping Center. All of you and the community are welcome at these events. We hope to see you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have another card, Lynn Adams.
It's been a while. Lynn Adams from the Pacifica Beach Coalition. It's been a while since I've been able to come in, and I wanted to share some of what's been going on for Pacifica through the Pacifica Beach Coalition. Since May 17th, we've had 10 give-back programs where they do beach cleanup and habitat restoration. And the habitat restoration has been clearing weeds between Rockaways, the Rockaway bathrooms, up through the bike path, across the top, and down into Lindemar. And these 10 teams had about 377 volunteers. They cleaned up Rockaway, Lindemar, and Sharp Park 3 times in that month's time. And we had 1 cleanup at the community center and the district. So the cleanups at Rockaway, Sharp Park, and Lindemar are always with the entire parking lots and as much of the district as possible. All of the Rockaway district is cleaned up by Rock and Rob's, by the parking lots, by the highway, everything is cleaned up. So the team removed 375 pounds of trash, 68 pounds of recycling, and we have a new program for rigid plastic, which is kind of basically rigid plastic that would have to go into landfill. We have a program now that recycles them, and we collected 38 pounds of that. Sadly, we had 8,300 cigarette butts collected in those 10 cleanups, and they were able to remove the thistle, the wild radish, the ox tongue, the fennel, to the tune of about 17,000 pounds. So I hope that you've been able to walk the bike path and see some of the piles that are there, and more importantly, see the weeds that are not there. The area is now clean, with the help of Public Works taking the things away and also dropping off wood chips. We've been able to disperse wood chips along the bike path on the lower side to keep the weeds from growing next year, so we can maybe blast through and finish the whole job. In addition, we have deployed 15 painted buckets. Those are the ones for the cigarette butts. We have another 15 to go out to business areas. We're looking for adoptees and businesses in need to put them at. We also have upcoming events. Whaletown and Cetaceans is coming back this year on August 25th. And California Coastal Cleanup Day is coming September 16th. So we'll have another citywide cleanup then. I'd also like to report that we've had 5 beach cleanups this month, the month of June. We'll have 5 more this month. In addition to some groups, small groups that come down just to do a cleanup, and we've had probably 5 of those in the month of June as well. So our beaches are being well tended, and sadly, we still have garbage. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Anybody else for orals? Okay. Next is council communications. Deirdre?
I have something to say. So thanks, Lynn, for that update. Just to add to that, just so the city knows, when the teams come for give back days, a lot of times it's very large groups, and they are frequenting our local lunch establishments. So that's really important that these people come down and use our businesses. So that's also a really positive thing. The other thing is, for the painted buckets, there's about 15 that are out there now, and we're looking for more businesses to adopt and maintain the buckets. We had a very nice meeting with the Chamber of Commerce, so we're hoping to engage some of those businesses to adopt and maintain a bucket in front of their business to keep our streets cigarette butt free. I know Councilmember Valerlos has already adopted one, so thank you. I also want to say that Roberts Road has gotten a lot better. So I want to thank the Public Works for the enforcement signs. I want to thank the Pacifica Police Department for their continued efforts of kind of walking the beat and on that enforcement issue. But I also want to thank the neighbors and the walkers and the Beach Coalition members who, even this morning, I saw 3 people at the same time with bags in their hands in their morning walk, and they were collecting things. So it is getting a little better. There was one issue in the last week where there was a fire pit that was found in the dry grass there. So just to alert the PPD and Public Works and also everyone in the community to remember to educate our youth and just keep talking about this is an ongoing issue. We're also working with the Pacific Beach Coalition and Recology on education signs. So now we've got the enforcement signs. We also want to educate people because that's part of the mission of the Pacific Beach Coalition is to be an advocate and educate so people know that they're up there enjoying the view, but what they're dropping on the ground ends up in that view. The other thing is I want to thank the Pacifica Police Department for all their efforts on the 4th of July. I wasn't in town, but I heard that it was another successful 4th of July with lots of fireworks and minimal incidents, so thank you for all hands on deck. And also thanks to the Parks, Beaches, and Rec for a successful 4th of July rocket run and event at Frontierland. I also want to talk about an event coming up at Frontierland on August 17th. It's the first inflatable family fun run. This sounds so fun. If you look at the obstacle course, it's going to be a gigantic inflatables, and it's ages 3 to 12. So tell everyone that you know. Little kids are able to go to these things now. I think it's amazing what our activities coordinator is doing, Michael Moran. He's got this going on for. It's going to be from 4 to 7 on August 17th, and it's for ages 3 to 12. So you're there with your youth, but you have to be with a guardian. So sign up for that. That sounds really cool. I also wanted to suggest that to council members that given the controversial ballot measures coming up in November, I'd like staff to come back with an ordinance for council to consider at our June 24th meeting around campaign contributions and expenditures, an ordinance for that upcoming election. So,
July 24th?
did I say June?
Yeah.
I also wrote June. So yes, July 24th. So that's in 2 weeks. I know other towns are doing it. So I'm interested in hearing some feedback on that.
Okay.
I don't know if this is the place, but
Well, as long as there's no deliberation on it, we can bring that back for you. I think I'm familiar with those types of ordinances, so I don't think that will be an issue. I think we need to see if the city manager believes that he has room on the July 24th agenda to do that.
We can do that. Sue Vadelas?
I wanted a council communications.
That's all I have.
Talk about what she has.
That's all I have.
Oh, go on to council communications?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
I mean, unless there was any objections, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
The Library Advisory Committee is discussing library sites on Wednesday at Sharp Park Library at 6:30. The Relay for Life is Saturday and Sunday. That begins at 10 at Terra Nova. I went to the Council of Cities. They had a presentation by Sustainable San Mateo County. And of course, their issue is lack of affordable housing. It's everywhere. Jackie Spear will also be at 10 o'clock at the Pacifica Democrats at the Sharp Park Golf Course. And I have a suggestion for council that we cancel, can I talk about this now? Our August 28th meeting, and then we have a study session on short-term rentals on the 29th. Can we move the 29th meeting back to our regularly scheduled 28th day? Because it doesn't make sense to take a day off for holiday and then work and then do the next day. Just a suggestion.
Okay with that.
Okay, so it's now scheduled for the 29th?
Oh, no, yes, it's currently scheduled for the 29th. We have the 28th as a non-council day
Right.
because of holidays.
Yeah, okay.
So
I'll have to check
look
my
in your
calendar.
calendar.
Yeah,
Okay. Just a calendar item,
okay.
and that's it for me.
Sue, agree?
Right, the Relay for Life is coming. It's a very excellent community building and soothing event, I would say. It helps families and persons who have families of persons who have cancer or who lost people with cancer. I think it's worthwhile going because it helps our community members to realize that we care and they're not alone in their hopes and dreams or suffering, whatever the situation is. That day is going to be something. If the inland is really hot and people are rushing to the beach, you're going to have to factor in how you get places. So Congresswoman Spear is talking at the Sharp Park Golf Course, which is usually over about 11. Then she's going to Terra Nova for that activity, which Jerry Hill and Kevin Mullins will be there, and the topic is healthcare. So, and that's being advertised by all the legislators throughout their domains. So we could have people coming from as far as the East Bay, like they had an event at a bookstore this weekend, and people did come from Contra Costa. So if people are going to that event, stop in at the Relay for Life, because it is right there on the tracks, and there are many things to do and see there. Just a heads up on that. People didn't realize that they were.
It's the lower field.
Is it the lower field?
Mm-hmm.
So people didn't realize that things were being double booked, shall we say? So I'm a little worried about that, but anyway. 4th of July, actually, I heard that things were not quite as good as had been hoped. I also heard on TV and read in the paper that, and from a coworker who was visiting from Hayward, that as she went home around 8 o'clock at night, that things were worse all around the Bay Area, so it wasn't just Pacifica. But I did hear that things were not as great as had been expected after all the hard work that we did. So it is interesting that there was an uptick throughout the whole Bay Area. What else? I mentioned before that our first manager, Carl Baldwin, will be leaving the city of Pacifica, and we do have a proclamation, but he couldn't come this evening, so I will be delivering it tomorrow. If anybody wants to join me at his house. That was his preference. And so I'm very happy that we have a very nice proclamation for him. First manager, you can imagine that history is rather unique. And our first city council mayor is alive, but is living in another city. I think that's pretty great. So Palmetto, oh yeah, so we're talking about what the Beach Coalition does, which is and all of you who participate in cleaning up the beaches. On the news this week, New York was noting that there were whales in their lake, in their inlet areas. And the comment was that the whales are happy now, and as you know, they sometimes go into our bay, because of the cleanup that's been going on for years. The sea animals are much more able to function as they should, and so that's a reward for all the hard work and caring that people give. SFO, good old SFO. We have been stymied, I think is a good word. I think the community would agree, and frustrated. So one of our attempts starting the discussion in July was to have a subcommittee on the San Francisco Airport Roundtable of the legislative subcommittee, which has met a couple times now, both the chairs and one time the small meeting. We have a meeting coming up on what month am I in? It's Thursday, the 13th. And also they have a work plan meeting in the afternoon. But on the legislative subcommittee, we've been talking about the need to outreach to all across the United States. So our Congress people here in our area have been very supportive. They've done everything that they can. What all congresspersons need is public support. So we're trying to brainstorm as to how to increase our public support of all congresspersons, whether those that are on board already or those who may be on the fence or not paying attention. So as I came in this evening, I had an outreach from somebody in Los Angeles who are on the same wavelength. So the outreach across the nation, and we will need your help for anybody you know in any other city where we're having similar airport noise. And so, again, the legislative subcommittee will be meeting this Thursday from 10 to 12. If anybody wants to come, it's at the park office, county park office, next to where the supervisors have an office in Redwood City. And the work plan, which will, needs to co-produce what they're doing, is in the afternoon at 1. The SFO meeting, the main one, will be at the usual airport meeting on August the 2nd, and that starts at 7 o'clock at night. So I think that's enough for now. Yes.
Okay, just to be clear, the Relay for Life is this Saturday at 10 o'clock, is that right? At Terra Nova High School. And the healthcare town hall with Congresswoman Spear, Senator Hill, and Representative Mullen is at 12, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
I don't know their time.
I think it's at 12.
I think it's at 12 because Jackie can't leave Sharp Park until about 11. So.
Yeah, okay. All right. Moving on to staff communications. Nothing? Nothing, okay. Public hearings. We have a public hearing to consider the recommended 2017-2018 fees and changes. Charges, yes. My editor says it's charges.
Mayor Pro Tem Keener and members of the Pacifica City Council, my name is Lorenzo Hines. I'm the Assistant City Manager. So the City of Pacifica annually updates user fees and charges. The following increases are proposed, and the specific changes can be found in the proposed 2017-2018 column of Attachment A. We're recommending an increase in the hourly rate for planning services to $202 an hour. We're also recommending a commensurate increase to $202 an hour for engineering services. Various other construction-related fees have increased by the Construction Cost Index of 3.5%, and various consumer-oriented fees have been increased by the increase in the CPI, that's the Consumer Price Index of 3.5%. These fee increases are put in place if they are deemed appropriate by the department directors. So in addition, some recreation fees have been modified to reflect additional services or a modification of programming. The City Council first reviewed the proposed changes on April 24th with the introduction of the 2017-18 proposed budget and the fees and charges schedule that's included in this report as Attachment A and presented tonight is our final recommended version.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Sue Vardalos?
They just seem minuscule, the fee increases, so looks fine.
Okay.
Especially appeals to city council at only $362.
A bargain, I'm sure.
A bargain.
I have no yellow cards. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak on this issue? No? Okay. Any other comments?
No.
Nope.
No.
Sue DeGree.
I just have a comment. I don't remember what page it's on, but the appeal fees, that's a fee, not a charge, right? Or
Packet
charge?
page 150.
150?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I objected the last time. I still do. I think it prohibits some people from being able to appeal. I would like to see something done about that, but nobody's come up with a solution yet. So I will still be voting for this, but that's one concern that I worry about. The appeal used to be $100, I believe. Now it's $362. Correct.
I believe we've had this conversation the last two budgets I put in front of you all. And the one thing that staff has concluded is that even though this amount seems high, we are far, far below the market here in the county and I am pretty sure that we are not recovering staff costs fully at this amount.
And that's the endeavor, is to make sure that our costs are covered.
Yes.
I totally understand that, but I also understand free speech seems to be a little limited, but
Anybody else? On that issue, one thing I would say is that it may not be an ideal workaround for this, but a council member is able to call up a decision of the Planning Commission or other commissions, which is essentially equivalent to an appeal.
Yes.
And so if an individual really couldn't make the $362, that's potentially another avenue for them. So, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Deirdre?
Where's the motion? Recommended action. Yeah. So I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution approving the proposed 2017-2018 fees and charges.
Okay, second?
Second.
We have a second from Sue Vadelas. Please vote. And that passes 4-0. And that's all, folks. Meeting is adjourned.
It's a record time.
7:37.
45.
Yeah.
7:37.
Let it be noted.
Well, you run a mean,
Nice job, Mayor Pro Tem.
efficient meeting there.